All right. Well, welcome everyone to another episode of the Living Better podcast. And today we have an exciting guest, as usual. We are with Vivien Burke. She's a British relationship, intimacy, and sex coach based in the United Kingdom. So we're going to dive into all sort of conversations today. And we're really excited to have you. Thanks for being on the podcast, Vivien.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure.
So we would like to start by talking about what got you into being a clinical sexologist and working in the field area that you work in right now.
Okay, so I started more simply with the sexless marriage.
Okay.
And I'm going to apologize for the noise. I have builders in and they're supposed to be gone. So
no worries.
Okay. Going to bug me a bit more than it is you. So I began with a sexless marriage. And what I realize is that I'm working with couples who've been together 25, 30 years.
Okay.
They've achieved a huge amount. They've built houses, they've got families, they've built companies, sometimes jets, planes, the whole thing. Wow. You are a power couple, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh.
They may even have their own security people.
Yeah. Wow.
Everything is on the outside quite amazing.
Yes.
But when you get into the bedroom, nothing is happening.
Wow. And
when you're staring down the barrel of another 25 years, suddenly everybody goes, hang on a minute, kids are going, da, 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 da. This isn't working for me.
Absolutely.
So my own experience is coming out of that life and being in a 23-year sexless marriage.
Okay.
And my friends would tell me, oh, you'll be fine. You'll hit 50 and you won't care. Or, well, who has sex anyway? We don't have sex. You're normal. And everything in my body and my bones kept going, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to my grave never having sex again with my partner.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're totally right.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So, because I'm a big fan. I'm an old bird, but I'm a big fan.
Of course. Yes.
So I hopped on with Jaya Ma and I became an erotic blueprint coach. I've been a coach for nearly 20 years. So coaching was my game, but sex became the thing where I was like, well, I'll find out for myself and then I'll be better with my clients because it keeps showing up and I'll have better information for them. All very lighthearted.
Yeah.
Then the more I work, the more I realize that my kind of area of speciality is the gap between a couple. There's a wall. It starts out small and insignificant. You forget the birthday, you stay late at the pub, the new baby comes and you don't come home as early as you used to. And when the nanny leaves, you kind of go, oh, wait until that drama's settled before you go home, or something starts and then this little wall gets built. And then that wall goes, well, you're late and you were late again. And this wall and the bricks in that wall make friends. And then all of a sudden, over 25 years, you have a fortress between you.
Wow. Boundaries
have been crossed. Trusts have been broken. All kinds of things. But when you look around, everything's amazing. Mm-hmm. Everybody would look at you and go, what are you complaining about?
You're living the dream. Yeah.
You're living the damn dream. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So then it gets a bit more complicated because over that period of time, sometimes new things develop.
Yeah.
Someone maybe finds a kink or what you might call a troublesome turn-on. I like to call it a troublesome turn-on. In the early days, it keeps everybody feeling safe.
Okay.
And you discover that there is a major kink fetish, or there's an interest in other genders, or, I mean, who knows? The world is enormous. Or they want to go to dungeons or something like that, or they want to be on a leash or something like that. And the partner goes, what the hell? Who the hell am I married to?
Yes. Who the hell have you turned into?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that I do. So when I read your thing and it says, life is full of fun and experience worth living and you should be having great sex. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But for the couples I work with, there's a bit of a hurdle to go over.
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, absolutely. So how do you start then? Like how like when you see with a couple, you basically just talk about the issues that you've had, because even when we talk about sexless marriage, what do you think is really lacking that? Why do you think there is such thing as sexless marriage? And definitely I think it's faults of both parties, right? There's no communication. Nobody's really talking or maybe even trying at that point to, hey, grabbing the booty or, like starting to get into it. Like,
you would think, bearing in mind sex can be so incredible, that it would be an easy thing. I mean, you're married. That's when you get to have sex. So you get into relationships. That's when you get to really let go. And the truth of the matter is, the first thing we usually run into is there's no real agreement in a marriage. People just kind of like show up with their expectations. I think you said something that made a great deal of sense to me about problematic and challenging past. Mm-hmm. You won't be alone with that. There's a lot of that comes into a marriage. Strange upbringings, interesting relationships as children, odd and weird experiences that actually have come forward into the marriage. Then we have our erotic wiring. How are you wired for pleasure? Mm-hmm. So we have the 5 erotic blueprints. Have you covered that on your show? Because I won't.
No, so please let's talk about that. Yeah.
Okay, so there are 5 blueprints. There's a positive side, the superpowers, and then there's the shadow side.
Okay.
So the energetic, the superpowers are orgasms without even being touched.
Wow.
They love anticipation and tease and space. Their fundamental need is safety. The shadow side is you approach them too fast, like a sexual who just like, you meet someone and you think they're amazing and then they're sexual and then they're naked all of a sudden. And it's like, whoa, can't deal with it.
Okay.
So then you have the sensual. Obviously, all of the senses. They love their food. Essential. You've been to their houses. There are 37 pillows on the bed. Only one person can actually arrange those pillows, and nobody must ever touch the pillows. Sofas are often the same. There's real order and structure and beauty and fabrics and texture in the home. And touch and sensation and smell and scent are part of the sensual's world. They can be played with for hours. Get them in their happy space and they can play and play. But the sensual can get into the head. Socks on the bedroom floor, haven't made the kids' lunches, this is this, the head's running. I can't have sex. I haven't done all this stuff. I'm living up here. I've got stuff to do. Yeah. Sex can't happen. Then we have our tried and trusted, the sexual. They love all their genitals, boobs, cocks, pussies, sex. They see each other 10 minutes. The Amazon man is coming. Fancy a shag? Yes, I'm up for it. You get 2 sexuals together, that will be epic.
Yes, totally.
The shadow side can be, they're a little bit short on journey and breadth.
Yeah.
There's a kind of fairly narrow view about sex. Yeah. The superpower is the just glorious intensity they can bring to their pleasure. Mm-hmm. Then we have the kinky, defined as what you might consider is outside of your normal. Mm-hmm. So for one person, missionary may be normal. Yes. Doggy sex may be very naughty. Okay. Doggy style may be very naughty. That would be a definition of kink. Going all the way through to, I want to be tied, I want to be flogged, I want to be restrained, I want
be spanked, or
all kinds of sensation pay or spanking or whatever.
Okay.
The shadow side for the kinky is shame.
Okay.
Deep shame about, oh my God, I'm weird and I want really strange things. Or the worst thing is like have a single point of turn on. Unless I'm wearing my yellow Mac, I can't get turned on.
Oh.
So there's a lot of work to do around kink.
Totally.
Then we have the shapeshifter. Yay. All of the above.
That's you.
All of the positive.
Like you were saying.
All of the shadows. They love it all.
Okay.
And then everybody will have a kind of stack. I am what I would call an energetic shapeshifter. I need to feel safe.
Yes.
I really need to feel safe.
Yeah.
When I feel safe, I love it all.
Okay.
But I didn't know that 5 years ago.
Okay.
Wow.
Had no idea.
Wow. So how did you figure that out within 5 years? Was it actually trying it?
I figured it out through the blueprints. So suddenly being an energetic made complete sense to me.
Okay.
As an energetic, you'll often think of people and go, they're so oversensitive.
Yeah.
You know, you like, they're like, whoa, there's too many people in the room, or it's too loud, or I'm not going to it's too much. And you go, oh, well, they're introverts or something like that. No, it's something to do with space and energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, once I engaged with a fellow coach who said, well, I've got an idea for you. Let's see what you think about energy. And I had a Kundalini awakening right there.
Wow.
The whole thing, my body loves it.
Amazing.
And then I began to understand myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it expands out. So the moment you have an understanding of how you're erotically wired,
yes.
now we can go, what have we got between us? So say, for example, we could have a sensual and we could have a kinky as a primary. Well, we've got sensation in kink and sensation in the sensual. So now we've got some ground we could work on.
So would you say that the erotic blueprint is kind of like a framework to kind of label different ways you're wired erotically and give you a better of understanding of how to go about it? So it brings a deeper communication between a couple. And that's what usually
you have a language. Yes, Matt, you have a language all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So you have the types.
Yeah.
And you may start somewhere and then expand out. Mm-hmm. Then you have the stages. Are you resting? Resting can be voluntary. Resting can be because it just happened. Like in my marriage, everybody would go, well, obviously you were the one who didn't want sex because, you know, you're the woman. Well, that wasn't true. It wasn't true at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can have resting, but you may well have a resting period after you've had your baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just have a period of time where you go, sex is off the table. But the trick is to take it off the table and then revisit bringing it back on the table, not taking it off the table and going
for good,
you know,
of course,
for
yes.
good kind of
Absolutely.
thing, you know. And it makes you and I would both go, well, of course, but people don't. Oh, we'll take a little snooze from having sex, and then it never comes back on the table. And they throw everything out. They throw out hugging, kissing, touching. It all goes, and then all of a sudden you have two people who are sexually in starvation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So this is when infidelity comes into the picture, no? Like,
yeah, that's definitely one of the options.
You know, and it's heartbreaking. But sorry, back to the erotic blueprint. Okay, so what is the most challenging forms of, I guess you would say, labels that we would put onto ourselves that is very challenging to work with?
Energetic sexual.
Okay, so what is
the energetic who likes space, anticipation, tease, eye gazing across the room, lots of distance, coming down, feeling safe. Then you have a sexual who sees you naked and goes, awesome, I'm
ready to
in
go.
the male form. I'm hard, I've got an erection, I start to breathe hard, I'm ready, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Then the energetic goes, whoa. It's too much. You just fry them and then they short circuit and you can't get near them.
Huh?
And it happens both ways round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there can be an assumption that this is a masculine, feminine thing, but the beautiful thing about the blueprints, it transcends all the genders.
Yeah.
So when you look at the full core erotic blueprint, the obstacles would be resting, healing, curiosity, adventurous, and then transformative. And you guys, I've looked at your book. I'm very excited about your book. I can see that on my giveaway list now. It's like, what are all the things we could try that are different? You get into that transformative space, or you experiment with something. So, and then the obstacles can be mental, physical, emotional, or energetic.
Yeah,
you can be injured. You can have trauma. You can have all sorts of things. So.
That's it. And also, like, though your own insecurities, there's some people all the time that, I can't even look at myself in the mirror. So how could I don't want my husband to touch me, because you feel so disgusting within yourself. So, there's a lot of things that go into it when it's to be sex and to take off your clothes, because it just puts you in such a vulnerable place. Right. And we just want to be loved and accepted. And it's hard, I think, for people to kind of let loose. Do you know what I mean? And take out those barriers that are in your mind constantly, the negative thoughts and the negative, you know what I mean?
Getting out of your
shell.
A huge central problem is the being up in your head. And you're right, there are any number of things that start to show up. And I refer to this very poorly. My friends will go mad because I should have a better name, but I call it the pre-sex quadrant.
Okay.
It's like, over here is don't come near me. And here is, hi, how was your day, darling?
Yes.
Would you care for a gin and tonic, or
yes,
come give me a cuddle, or something like that? There is the possibility of sex. And you have a moving towards or a moving away. You're constantly late. You never show up. Trust issues. You wind up rowing and arguing. Where is the hot in there?
Yeah, totally.
There's no turn on in there.
No.
When you say to someone, could you look at your partner and you go, honestly, I couldn't trust you to get milk and bread at the same time. It's not hot.
Yeah.
It's not hot. So when somebody goes, hey, you asked me to get milk, I got milk. And by the way, there's really gorgeous biscuits you like. I bought some. And then you sit down together and someone goes, hey, I knew you liked this, so I did that. And you wind up getting into a place where you can actually have a conversation about sex. Never mind try something wild and new and exciting. Let's get floggers.
Yeah.
So it's that piece in between there that is really where I do most of my work. And then the fun part starts with the expansion. Because once you feel comfortable and people get able to understand that they learn how to speak their desires.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the problem.
Then they go, oh. But a lot of people can't say, I would like you to touch my boob in this way, not this way. Or I actually would rather you held my cock harder than you do. I want stronger feeling.
Yes.
All of a sudden. So
you think about it. But it's not happening, and you hope it will.
It's not happening. And hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. Doesn't work.
No.
And
people need to talk to their partner and say, "Listen, I like this better than like
touch
this."
Me that way, do this, do that. Yes.
That's the start of it.
It might take the hotness out of it at first, but for the next session, it'll be a lot better.
Better because you both are getting what you like,
and you're not talking about it anymore. About that specific thing you like that she's doing or he's doing better. Or
there's absolutely no doubt we have to clear all the stuff and the old stories. The story about the body and everything. We have to work with that. You can't just go, hey, you'll be fine. We have to address that. There's some reason why there's body dysmorphia or there's a kink or something like that. It has to be addressed. But once everybody has a language and we've done some healing, then we've taught touch, then I think it starts to be my homework, I like to think, is really fun. Eventually, I'm sure when I've had a chance to settle in properly with your book, I'll be going, I think you two should try, chapter 12. Chapter 12 is homework.
Yeah.
Tell me what would have made it better.
Yeah.
What showed up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
well, we're really happy to have you on the show because especially in today's society and probably all the time in the past too, we find that sex or just that aspect is always taboo. It's like people all want it. They all have their fantasies, but they they feel shy about it, or there's that awkwardness in society around people that overly talk too much about sex or sexuality. And I think that even growing up, I didn't have much sexual education from school or from my parents. So I grew up with those desires that are building up, and this attraction for women, and I don't know how to compose with that. And then I go out in the world and I kind of like, without tools, I try to explore that, but I'm shy about it because people, if you talk about it, it's kind of, is that a person I can trust? Can I talk about sex with that person? Well, they think I'm weird because I'm opening up sexually.
You're scared of judgment. Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know why, but I wanted to ask you, why do you think there's a stigma or taboo around sexuality and the topic of sex? I'm French. Topic of sex.
Topic. So you've already said it, Matt. Yeah. We say we didn't get a sex education because nobody gave us education and nobody talked about sex in our family. That was your education. That absolutely was your education. Nobody talks about sex. That's private. That's something you do,
Yes.
Everybody likes it, but they don't want to talk about it. Everybody judges other people towards it, but then they have the same fantasies or worse or whatever,
So I don't know whether it's a COVID thing or whatever, but I had a call recently from about 3 individuals who are under 20.
Okay.
Under 20.
Yeah.
Painful sex, female. Offered help to get paid. She had to go to her mum, who went, no, can't have you talking about that. That would be wrong. So she's having, like, who wants painful sex? That's not hot. She's been having sex for over a year. She's never had an orgasm.
Okay.
Never. It breaks my heart.
No, I know, of course. But sorry, she's talking about that's all she's been getting so far with this experience is painful sex, or that's actually what she really loves is painful sex?
No. Painful sex. It actually hurts to have sex.
Oh, poor her.
Actually hurt. And I can tell you, Jody, I can tell you, it is over 65% of women over a certain age will experience painful sex.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I'm going to put you on to a colleague of mine who I think is shocked. One, because you talked about fun toys, and they have a vibrator that records your orgasm so that you get this like, are you one of these or are you one of these?
Oh, amazing.
Oh, it's really cool. I liked being part of that study.
Absolutely.
But their whole work, all their business is around painful sex for women. And dealing with that. And, people go, oh, well, brace yourself, deal with it. It's like, that's normal. It's not normal.
No, it's not normal.
You're not meant to be in pain when you have sex. It is not normal.
No, and I wonder why.
Several reasons. It's never just one. A lot of tension can be held. Well, one, far too early in penetration. I'm guessing this young girl, I asked her how long she's having sex for, and she's having sex between 20 and 25 minutes. So I'm just guessing that she's having sex with a sexual who's really hot, because, she's very young and he's probably going to be in his 20s, so he's going to look awesome.
Yeah.
But he's probably a bit keen and a bit quick, and she's not ready.
Yes.
I was at a party recently, and I like to behave very badly at parties and ask inappropriate
I want to come to your party.
Exactly, yes, because then I like to ask inappropriate questions. So I was surrounded by these young teenagers, and I'm a sex coach. Anybody want to ask me a question? Anyone can have a free question.
Amazing.
Standing there with my glass of champagne.
Just one.
I love it.
We're good. I said, well, allow me one question. Tell me about a fully tumesced pussy.
Okay.
What?
I don't even know what that means.
That means that I'm calling it the pussy, the vulva in its correct terms, is puffy, full of blood, really wet, swollen,
ready to go. 100%.
And whoever owns it is going, get in here
now. It's like aching. It's aching. Yeah.
Exactly. Instead of tight, dry, not ready.
Yeah.
Then what happens with the body is you push through, then there's pain, and then next time somebody comes near you, the body goes, no, this is going to hurt. And then you get a lot of tightening. And then there's no penetration. And then you have vaginismus, and it just all goes off down a path. So,
that's definitely, absolutely. Yeah, it takes sometimes us as women to get aroused. You know what I mean? It doesn't really take 5 seconds like as of a guy, you know, and me and Matt talk about that all the time. Like, you know, he's hard, he's ready to go. But sometimes for us women, it takes us a while. And you know, you got to work it, you know?
I tell you a personal story. I like to share my personal stories here because you understand. Jayamar said to me, you can only go as far with a client as you are willing to go yourself.
Okay.
So I've been on her table. I've had 10 pairs of hands on my body. I've been flogged. I've been on her table exploring my own traumas.
Okay.
So do you remember the lovely Betty Dobson, God rest her soul? She's passed recently, who was the queen of everything pussy.
Wow.
Taught women how to look
Yes. Yes. Yeah. She was on that the Netflix series with Gwyneth Paltrow. She died.
She's just recently.
Oh my God, she was amazing. It was all about the vagina.
A pioneer of women, so brave.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah, sorry, keep going. I'm just, it clicked. I know who you're talking about.
I've reached the grand age of 52 at the time.
Okay.
And I'm wondering about this clitoral orgasm that I've heard about. And I'm thinking, I've always been very lucky because I've always had a G-spot orgasm.
Okay.
But the clitoris was like, nothing ever happened there. And I thought, what's all the fuss about?
Up to 52
so
years.
Wow.
For 52 years.
Wow.
Yes.
So you've never explored that.
Wow.
Yes. And no masturbation for me because that was what nasty girls did. And I wanted to be a nice girl. Yeah.
You were raised that way.
I was raised that way. That's not what nice girls do. So I was an unwanted child. So being a good girl was very important for me.
Wow. Okay.
So anyway, at 52, I come up upon on YouTube of all places, this woman who was talking about it can take 45 minutes for a woman to climax fully and have a proper orgasmic experience and feel it through her body. 45 minutes.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever had sex for 45 minutes.
Yeah, totally.
I'll have to do more cardio for sure.
No. You don't want to be on board for 45 minutes, but you definitely
like to joke around.
So anyway, I was self-pleasuring by then. I got a lot of shame about running toys, so I was using my hands and I just kept going, and all of a sudden there it was.
Wow.
Holy cow, it was fun.
Really?
And then I became a master of the art and used to play very, very regularly and discovered that. And if I hadn't bumped into a video on YouTube or a podcast like this, I may never have found that, may never have had that experience. My aunt is 90 now. She's never had an orgasm. Never.
Never? Either at her clitoris or her G-spot?
No.
Oh my God, that's awful.
No. And my job is I'm part educator, part therapist, and part coach.
Okay.
We're going somewhere. We're going to heal. And I'm going to tell you how to do things. I have a wonderful picture that I'm probably going to hang when I've finished decorating this house, which is my kitchen table has 2 magnificent cups of coffee on it with fluffy milk and all of that sort of thing. I have some flowers on the table and a huge double silicone cock where I'm teaching my client how to give a lingam massage.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to myself, my world is complete. I love my life.
Yes.
Her husband is going to be thrilled and she's excited to learn.
Yes, of course, which is amazing. But that's showing to her part of being wanting to please her man,
or open,
you know, and being open to trying new things.
So much about her body, so much.
Oh wow, wonderful! So that's going really well then. So you do have a lot of success stories. Then when you meet with couples, there's a lot of success. It's not oh shit, my husband's a kink. It's scaring the shit out of me, and we're divorcing.
Yeah. So fun. Another fun story. Limited details, obviously, but kink showed up in the marriage in the form of someone with a very powerful job wanting to wear, a male-bodied person wanting to wear a various range of female clothes.
Okay.
And he wanted to do, depending on how, as it turns out, how much stress at work, how young he wanted to be. So all the way down to a nappy and a bottle.
Oh my goodness.
And he wanted to lay on the sofa and have his head in her lap and be caressed and cared for and have zero responsibility. Zero.
Wow.
When the understanding was this is how he handled all the power and the stress and the responsibility he had at work.
Mm-hmm.
And we did all the vulnerable work.
Mm-hmm.
She came to the party as a dom, as a dominatrix.
Amazing.
We found that in her.
Amazing.
Now, more recently, a very fun session was, I really, really want him to be more bratty. And I'm like, okay, now we're getting into expansion stuff. Now we're really having fun. Because now we're dialing up her dom. He's having more fun. There's less youth stuff. It's, you know, all kinds of really fun stuff going on there. But it's all consensual now.
Yes.
You know, it's kink. So they always say with kink that it should be safe, sane, and consensual. It should always be consensual. But safe is a tricky one.
Totally.
It's a very tricky one to be safe. It's like there needs to be a bit of a risk assessment going on. So,
because every time, sorry, you're going to try something new, you can only feel as safe as what you know, right? So, you're going to have to take a bit of that risk, like you said.
So
risk
for me, it's more about faith than trust. You want to have faith in someone because, as I said earlier, when your partner, can't bring home bread and milk from the shop, then are you going to trust him with the keys to your cuffs? Or to tie you down and leave you in a room for denial orgasm. It's
very true.
There's what's in the agreement there. So,
no, it's very true. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah,
absolutely. So let's talk about maybe some sort of addiction on each part, like either if the male or the female have some sort of a porn addiction, or they rather masturbate instead of, having some good sexual experience with your partner. How do you go about working with that? And is that very common in your practice?
So I'm very, very new to the compulsive module.
Okay.
Like I'm not quite certified yet, so I'm about to open the books for clients in this space.
Okay.
But the most wonderful test case that I was discussing the other day was a guy who was masturbating 5-10 times a day.
Wow.
I mean, literally blisters on the cock, and he would still go.
Oh.
And it was all really down.
That sounds like a guy in the military.
But it's like, and I'm sure you know stuff, Matt. I'm absolutely sure you do. I'm sure you do. Because again, somebody's dealing with some kind of trauma, and
absolutely
somehow they're looking for something that soothes them.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it's not soothing. So we do the same thing with a slightly longer path. So we want to assess. It's not like an assessment like you pass a test or fail, but what's going on for you? What is really showing up? How are you actually wired for pleasure? What is this serving to soothe or heal or hide from, what's going on there.
Yeah.
And then we go into I go particularly into creating strategies so somebody can actually feel safe visiting whatever the trauma might be or the experience in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And then go on from there into healing those traumas because they've been set up to have a good regulation, a good places they can go. We build happy places. We build like safety, how to stay in the room, how to stay here in the now and talk about something really, really difficult. And then I get some fun coaching stuff. And then we take all the good stuff and then build it into something new. So
that's amazing.
One of the things that comes up or that I'm noticing is coming up is the assumption, and I bet you saw this in the military all the time, men are supposed to be sexual, supposed to have hard dicks, that's it, have sex, jump on, all's good.
Ready to go.
And then you have a male who's an energetic sensual,
mm-hmm.
and he wants a hot bath, and he wants a nice warm up, and he wants to have a back rub, and he likes having his feet rubbed, and he likes to play. He likes you to play with him energetically, and you're going
totally
like, and then all of a sudden he's a freak. All of a sudden, and then he gets called a freak, and then he can't have a great sex life because he's like not like his mate.
Yeah.
So,
I think there's a lot of damage that can be done when you're repressed or judged for your sexuality.
Yes,
absolutely.
That prevents you from having an orgasm or getting hard, or you're going to get into a situation with shame and you're going to overthink it and you're not going to enjoy the present moment.
Yeah.
So some of the ending stories are lovely. So we had one presentation of completely happy home, happy wife, happy kids, seeing sex workers at least once or twice a month. So my mind goes to, really happy home? How can that be? But as we progress through finding out what happens is the trauma for this man was horrific as a child.
Aww.
Horrific. And what he wanted when he went to a sex worker was, one, the anticipation of being at the door to go in was a big turn on, was total acceptance when he walked through the door. It wasn't so much about the sex. It was about being welcomed, it being okay to go through the door. But he had no ability in his upbringing, a very successful man running a huge company, all great, to say to his wife, what I need is unconditional love.
But he didn't know how to explain it.
He did not know how to explain that.
And that's all he needed.
And that's what he needed. So again, you can imagine the tricky part there. And this is the bit that I find quite hard is if you come and see me on your own, then I can't see your partner.
Yeah.
So you have to come and see me together first, and then I can work with you individually. But when someone like that comes on their own, who's taking care of her?
Yeah.
Because she is having a really bad time. And when he goes home, he is likely having an awful time because she has no ability, or the other way around. I'm not just saying male, female, but either way around. The troubles at home, you need to make sure everybody gets taken care of. So if you want to work with someone on your own, then you need to be in couples work and proper sex positive, kink positive people. And then you potentially both need to be seeing somebody individually. It's big work. It's very big work.
That is big work.
So how do you say
coming out the other end is just incredible?
Oh,
Yes.
it must be. Absolutely.
But how do people get to that point in your experience with the people you work with? So they start off in a relationship. Obviously, it's a honeymoon phase. They're having sex. They're trying out stuff. It's all about discovering each other. They're all over each other. Usually, that's the scenario, right?
Yeah.
They usually don't start and hate each other, or like it starts off good.
It
usually,
starts off with sex, right?
Yeah, it starts off usually with some sex, and they're having fun and they're enjoying themselves. Now, what happens when the disconnection starts to happen? And how do you deal with that with people?
Well, we have to find out what causes the disconnection. So if we're back to the kind of like we've come away from BDSM and kink and things like that. We're coming back to just a couple who's been together a couple of years, and suddenly things are starting to slide off. Is there's a little bit of too tight. Well, we have to find out what's going on. Have to explore.
Okay.
Now, very, very often,
the sooner the better, right? Because
so I have this theory, and it's been proven to me several times now, which is when you first meet. I don't know if you remember, Jodie. Do you remember before you went out with Matt, before he was yours, as it were, you'd get dressed with your girlfriends, you have a little drink, and there'd be some music going on, and they'd be going, I know you're going to sleep with him tonight. I know you are. You're going to be a nasty girl tonight.
Yeah.
You're going to play with him. And you dance, you go out, and then you go out and you have dinner, and you talk, and you laugh, and you listen to great music, and you go home, and of course you have great sex. You're massively turned on.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. When you move on 2 years and someone comes home and goes, I fucking hate my job. What's for dinner?
Oh, I know. It's like negative energy.
You know, it sounds ridiculously basic.
Yeah.
No, I know.
But
It's a turn off.
It creeps into the relationship, and you all of a sudden you're going, don't come anywhere near me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can't say, we need to not talk about logistics. We need to talk about each other.
Yep.
I have a desire. I've been thinking about you today, and I have a desire to be kissed on the sofa and then slathered in warm coconut oil.
Yeah.
And fed grapes, and then laid over the bed and spanked with the moose flogger.
Yeah. Yes. No, absolutely. I totally agree. It's like, you know, one thing coming home, it can be negative and it completely just turns you off. It's like, I don't want to have sex now anymore. I was horny before you came home, and now the second you come home, you're negative. I'm not horny anymore. You know, and it's, again, it's fun. It's crazy how we're so wired, and something so quick can literally just change it. Like for the person, it's,
I think for us, what we've tried to do is create space, you know, put aside like the daily stressors, because when you get to be a couple, you kind of experience the same stresses, because now you're like sort of one, but you're two, but you're one. So you share the same household. Yeah. You share the same external stress. You share the energy. So if I have a bad energy one day because I'm moody or something, she's going to feel it, and she's going to be affected by it. So for us, I think it's important we create date nights or just a space where we put our phones aside. We really just focus on one another, and we forget about everything else. And when that happens, then usually that's where the magic happens too. So, you know,
absolutely, because you have to make room for it. So I have one thing that I put in place for everyone who works for me, and that's the check-in date, as opposed to the we need to talk.
Yeah.
We need to talk is usually one of you's done something dumb, stupid, bad, spent too much money, I found the credit card, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I want to set up a way of communicating to create this space where you can come together and go, have you got time for a check-in date? So a check-in date means you can say, I'll be free in 10 minutes, or do you want to do it over dinner? Do you want to have a quick 5 minutes? There's a time parameter to it. There's some agreed rules around listening. I'm going to hear you out. So I may check in. So am I okay? Are you okay? Are we okay? You have been, so an example might be, you know, Matt, it's like 3 days now. You're really not happy when you get home, and I'm not sure if that's something to do with me or what's going on, but I'm starting to feel really disconnected, and use the feeling words, and you express everything, and then go, is there anything you would like to tell me or I need to know? And you might go, 3 of my buddies got killed on maneuvers, and the whole team is like destroyed, and nobody knows what to do, and everybody's upset. And then you can go, okay, clarification, it's not me.
Yes, totally.
How do I support you? Do I give you space?
Yeah.
Is there something I can do to make this easier for you when we're together? Because now I'm getting into a giving space for you, and you can get into a receiving space. Or it might be, I did this right in the middle of what I think was some pretty good sex once, but I absolutely believe that if there's anything between you that's causing discomfort, it needs to be faced now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or within the next at some point, we need to acknowledge we're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I'm in an open relationship, and I was having this marvelous time, but my partner was not connected. There was a disconnect.
Okay.
And cut a long story short, there's something going on for him. So we spent about 90 minutes clearing up that mess. And we went to sleep. Then we woke up and had probably the most connected, best sex I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
Because you fixed it right there and then.
We fixed it, and we don't, it's my rule. I don't want stuff between us. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're pissed off that you spent all that money on microphones and they're not good enough, and then you're mad about something. That's okay. You're allowed to be angry, but I don't have to walk around on eggshells being afraid that it's about me.
Yeah, totally.
And if I'm upset, or I've had a fallout with my mother, or something happens for me, and you're wandering around going, well, I can't touch her. She's gone all frosty on me. It's okay to clear that stuff up.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, I'm feeling some discomfort. I'd like not to have sex this weekend. Can we cuddle? Can we watch movies and eat bad food? That would feed me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. And
and then you get to give and receive. I'm sure you guys all know Betty Martin's work, but this giving, receiving, taking, allowing, and then you can get to the lover space in this lovely, clean air that is between you.
No, totally. I absolutely agree. So, what do you think is like a healthy sex life within a marriage? Like once a week, once every two? Like,
no. Oh, no. That's I will not say that there is a normal.
No.
Okay.
So
I agree with you.
I am totally against conversion therapy, which is at the very strong end. But if I presented with a couple where there is one who wants to have sex like 2 or 3 times a day.
Well, that's it.
And there's one who wants to have sex about once a month. It is not my job to get those 2 people to have sex 2.5 times a week to meet the national average.
No.
Okay.
What we have to do is find what goes on in between, introduce more fun, self-pleasuring.
Okay.
Because if my partner can't handle me 3 times a day, then we need to figure out what I'm going to do about it, because I'm responsible for my pleasure.
Yes, no, you're right. And totally. And that's something too that Matt and I have spoken about. Like, how do you do that when 2 different people, you love each other, but your sex drives are totally different?
And
like,
it varies all the time.
He's ready to go, 3 times a day, but sometimes I'm like, meh, like I'm good once a day, or I don't want, like for people that don't want to have sex that day. Like,
and I think that we have to be careful with this, like no sex. So first we need to define what is sex.
Okay.
And a lot of people go, well, it's penis and vagina. That's sex.
Yeah.
And then I'd say to you, is it okay if Matt and I go next door and snog? And you might go, no.
Yeah.
I don't know with you two, probably.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But, the thing is that somebody might go, no, that is not okay. Well, then that's sex, isn't it? Can I go to the movies with your friend? No, you cannot. Don't know. So sex, very big subject. So what is on the table? Yeah. What about a beautiful lingam massage?
Well, yes.
Throw it on a table. Drive them insane. Play with whatever his blueprint is. You guys need to take the blueprint quiz.
Yes, I'm actually really. I would actually
when you've done the quiz.
Yeah, I'd actually.
I'm seeing another book in your future, which is your great sex through pregnancy.
Yes,
fun things to do. That's your next book.
Yeah.
Because we change. You're about to have a massive change. You're about to become parents. There's a new chapter coming up. I'm a big fan of have a great marriage by design.
Yeah.
Now, you may need to define the next chapter, maybe the next 3 or 4 months, the next 6 months, and then you design another chapter, which is another 6 months after that. And then there's a year, or somewhere in this area. This is what we want in our life. This feeds us. This is how we keep each other happy. This is how we don't wind up shutting each other up and like dreading the sound of the car on the drive.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
Or the helicopter landing on the lawn, whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's definitely like, it's an evolving journey, right? And as much as your sex drive changes from week to week to month, so does sometimes your desire, your kinks, what you want to try. And I think that's just part of being a human being. You want the same thing with variety in different areas of your life. So why wouldn't you want to try different things with your partner? Mm-hmm. When you want to try different roller coaster, when you want to drive different cars. When you want to,
exactly.
You want to try variety. You want to try different things. You want to taste different food. You want to. So I think sometimes it's to have those conversations, like you say, and to really be open about it. But society tells us it's not okay. And when it comes to sex and sexuality, to be that open. And I think that reflects a lot in a lot of people's relationships. They have all those ideas, those desires. There's everything they want to talk about, but they're shy. They're afraid. They don't want to be judged by their partner. They don't want to express themselves or say, hey, listen, when you do this, it doesn't feel good, because she might, let's say, take offense to it.
Well, that's it. Maybe too, they don't want to hurt the other person.
Yeah.
They don't want to hurt their feelings, right?
So how do you promote that open communication in your work? How do you get people to talk about, hey, listen, this is what I want. This is what I need.
And if you can't give it to me, like, is it okay if I can go to erotic massage and, get pleasure elsewhere? Do you know what I mean?
By consent. You're talking about by consent. And we do need to be a bit brave here.
Okay. Yeah,
you guys have got brave. You have real conversations about sex and talk about things between you. Mm-hmm. You're never going to wind up on my couch.
Well, we hope not, but
no, if you keep going the way you're going, you won't, because if you keep recognizing there's a new chapter, if you keep recognizing that at different stages you want different things.
Yes.
I like to create, when you come and work with me, I like to create a safe space.
Okay.
I like, I'm going to take you down a deep, dark alley if that's where your problem lives. I am not afraid to go there with you, but I'm going to set you up. I'm going to be there with you, and I'm going to take you there knowingly.
Okay.
But then when we've dealt with that, I might say, why don't we experiment with this kind of touch? Or this? Do you like this? Mm-hmm. Do you like to pull on this? Do you like this? Do you want to... I haven't got a feather. Gosh, I meant to have a feather on my desk. Do you like a feather? So it was so funny. When I was early on and I took the blueprint test, I took it several times because it insisted that I was kinky. And I thought, I'm a very nice girl and there's no fucking way I'm kinky.
Yeah.
People are trying to tell me I'm weird and I'm not. Mm-hmm. And of course I am. Of course I am. I love restraint. The discovery of a flogger, to be flogged by somebody who knows how to do that, to be tied by someone who knows how to do that, who knows how to set the container for safety, to set the traffic lights so that you've got safety, safe words, how to do the sexiest check-in in the world is pre-prepared for me. Mm-hmm. Like when I bring my face in really close, you have an opportunity to speak. You can say you want more. You can say, I think I've had enough. Or break a sweat. Give me more. Bring a friend.
Yeah, love it. Totally. Yeah.
You get to say, well, it's giving me chills.
It's giving me chills too. I love it.
Exactly. But I am completely ruined because the community that I am in is huge on safety and consent and setting a truly safe container. And when you're there and when you're in that, then you get to play full out. Then you get to go, I would really like to try. And
so
I have a lot of colleagues that do this work.
Amazing.
So if we talk about yourself coming from your childhood when you were like you were being told that you were a naughty girl if you masturbate and stuff, to the way you talk today. There was a big change and big transformation in your sexuality.
Totally.
Now, what was the tipping point for you, and how did you build upon that tipping point to become really that open
that you're able to
the
talk
woman you are today, that you can talk about everything
openly, and you don't feel like a dirty girl talking about it, you know?
We're going to talk about yourself, because there's no client privilege here. It's about you.
So I am absolutely is. Well, I think
your story. When did you have a breakthrough or a moment?
So the sexless marriage is defined as no sex or less than 10 times a year.
Okay.
Wow.
I was in a no sex marriage, 0.
Horrible.
And I thought about sex all the time, but I couldn't talk to anyone about it.
And was that in your first relationship? Sorry if I interrupt.
Yes, that was
your first relationship.
So we've had the most beautiful separation, my husband and I.
Amazing.
And I love him to death.
Amazing.
One of my dearest friends and one of the people I respect more than anything in the world. Mm-hmm. But we're not meant to live together. And we're certainly not meant to be lovers.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Fair enough.
So the build came, I think one of the tipping points for me was I got really, really super fit. I was riding, I ride horses, but I was riding bicycles as well. And I rode up the side of Mount Rainier. I was friggin' fit as all get out. Wow. And I looked good.
Yeah, good for you.
And I got really scared when people would be nice to me.
Oh.
And then I started thinking, when will I ever be old enough that I don't have to deal with this anymore? This desire to be touched, to be held, to have someone reach for me. That's all I wanted at the time, was just someone to reach for me. Yeah. All they had to do was roll on, stick it in. That was good enough.
Yeah.
That would have done. I would have felt like I was wanted.
Yes.
But the whole don't make a fuss. Nobody talks about that. All those were rules that I was holding pretty strong to.
Yes.
And then my friend sent me Tony Robbins talking to Jaya and Ian. And I was like, blueprints? Well, I've heard of the love languages, and I always thought we need a more erotic version of the love languages. That would make more sense to me. Yeah. And then I listened to that, and I took the test, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not kinky. That can't be true. They're crazy people. This system doesn't work. And I had a whole massive resistance. And when the emails came up, I would go blood red in the face and try and hurl my computer out of the window in case anybody found an email from Jaya on my system. Mm-hmm. So it's to delete all the emails. And then I saw this thing that she had a course, Erotic Blueprint Breakthrough course, 8 modules, come and join a group.
So how old were you when that happened?
I'm 60 now, so I was 56.
Wow. Okay.
So from riding a horse to 56, there's a gap there. I'm just trying to figure out how you got into this. Because
but the thing was the pressure built, and then I found somewhere where I could speak and I could go, hey, I'm in a sexless marriage. What's that like? And this outpouring of love and support, and people who went, me too, I'm the same, I'm experiencing this, and I became part of this amazing community. And then Jaya invited me to become one of her coaches because I've been a coach for years, and I thought, well, I don't want out of this community, so I'm staying in. Yeah. And then we went on this massive deep dive, and slowly and incrementally I learned my blueprints. I understood what my obstacles were. I understood the various stages of my life. And then I went to Advanced Sex Skills and Erotic Secrets, and I got on Jaya's table, and she cleared all the trauma for me. And I mean, it's been a long, long run.
Yeah.
But when I became a coach, a fellow coach and my lover, we decided that we would talk about blueprints every day on his journey to work.
Okay.
So we spent about 300 hours talking about sex.
Wow.
And one of my funnest things to do was get him to go, stop it. I've got to stop the car. I have to stop.
Oh my God, I love it.
So he was late to work a lot of times.
Sorry?
He was late to work a lot of times.
I was never late to work. There was always a bit of spare time sort of thing. But
amazing.
That's how I got to talk about it because,
Wow.
you know, when people would say to me, just the very word sex, and my face would wrinkle up and I'd go red and everything.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to be able to help people there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of hours in going into making me.
If you don't mind me asking, you know, it is your past relationship, but was he the same as you? Like sex would make him feel very uncomfortable. So were you guys compatible in that sense?
Still does. Never broke that barrier.
He never broke that barrier. So that's probably why too, maybe you could have fixed it
You
if
felt repressed too in your marriage.
Like, do you think, you know what I mean? If he was able to break down that barrier, like look at you, you're shining now. You can talk about sex and you love it. I can feel your energy when you're talking about it. He's not at that point yet, but you think if he was, you guys could still be together and maybe have now the best fucking sex you've ever had with him.
That looks like a no.
I think too much pain over too many years.
Yeah. Totally.
I tried many things to change things, but I now know when a couple like me presents themselves to me where I need to go.
Okay.
I need to create safety I just assume the energetic and I create safety for everybody. Mm-hmm. If there's sexual in the room, they need to back the hell up. You know, we need to just sort stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
I threw down the kink desires checklist and went, does any of this appeal to you? I blew him up.
Okay.
I blew him up all the time with all the wrong stuff. I didn't create safety. I didn't know how to do that.
Okay.
So he freaked out a bit every time you tried.
Oh, I freaked him out totally. Yeah. Freaked him out totally. And, you know, I think it is a great tragedy, but
it's a big learning curve.
He's made his choice. He's absolutely made his choice. Yep. And, you know, and I'm okay with that now.
Yep, totally.
And I have a very, very different relationship with my lover.
Oh, amazing. Well, congratulations on that. Yeah, totally. Yeah. But I guess it was just like, you know, if you're open and you get to that, is there, you know, faith that you guys can get back together and you can maybe have the best sex ever if you both are able to break down that barrier? Do you know what I mean?
I have a couple that are coming up to being married 40, they're north of 45 years now.
Wow.
30 years sexless. Oh, holy cow.
Jesus Christ.
Holy cow, do they have fun.
Now, see, that's amazing.
Exactly. So
I so love working with them. They were so brave.
I love that. That's what I love to hear about. Yeah. Amazing.
And knowing Jody, I think that's where her question is heading. Because, like, let's say you're in a relationship, you're not fully compatible sexually, you're trying to explore that, kind of like your success story. So you've met couples like that for 30 years, no sex. Now they have the best sex ever in their life. So what happened? What was the tipping point?
That's amazing.
How did they
break down all the shit first?
Okay, so that's what you do.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Yeah, okay.
We have to do that first. We have to look at that part of you that goes, I'm ashamed, or I can't tell you, or I had this secret, or I had this idea that I wanted to do this, and, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden things pop up. You know, bisexuality shows up.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope that's very common, correct?
More common than you think.
Yes, good.
But more common than you think.
Okay.
But nobody wants to say,
I know.
It's the girl.
Yeah.
Thinking about, you know, the men are always saying, I want two girls and a woman. And I think there's an awful lot of women out there who would love that idea.
Yes, absolutely.
But they don't want to talk
you and a best friend and a lovely husband to play with.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm a shapeshifter. I need extra hands sometimes.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah, you're right.
For sure.
You know, I need one on the pussy, somebody on the hot wax, somebody on the restraint.
Love it. Yes. 100%.
I have a girlfriend who's ex-military. She's I think she's a colonel. I mean, she's ever so senior, but she was on thudding.
Amazing. Love it.
She was in I was going to somebody, no, more. And she's going, step aside, I got this.
Wow.
I'm like, boom! Thank you very much.
Colonel attitude there.
You got the whole Colonel attitude. Just step in and take charge. Yeah.
Amazing. Love it.
But you're right. You got to take down all that stuff, because a lot of times it's interconnected, right? Life will show up in your sexuality versus sexuality will show up in your life.
Yeah,
so when you heal both sides, then it becomes really good. Because you were talking about Tony Robbins, and he says humans are designed for two things: avoid pain and seek pleasure, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes if you have a painful life, you might start seeking pleasure through sex or addictions, drugs, stuff like that. So sometimes issues that are not related to sex at all, like the guy who would go to escorts or sex workers, perhaps, just to walk through the door and feel accepted.
Yeah.
So it wasn't sexual, but you would connect the dots that way. So people do connect dots in weird ways, maybe, or odd ways that don't make sense immediately from when you look at it. But behind the scenes, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And how do you find out about all of that? By asking questions, by digging deeper and understanding?
Absolutely. Create a nice safe space in the beginning. We look at how you're wired for pleasure. I mean, I'll start with the love language. It's a nice, simple, easy thing to get in. I do this magic shop exercise.
Okay.
So if I had a magic shop, and you could give me your problem and I could give you what you want.
Yeah.
Tell me your problem. What's great about your kink? What's great about seeing sex workers or self-pleasuring 10 hours a day? Or what's great about that?
Mm-hmm.
And then they wind up with a gift of both. They tell me all the good things that they want, and they tell me all the good things about what they've got. Okay. It's a double whammy, but it's a nice, easy conversation.
Yes. Non-judgmental, open, you listen.
No, I have no judgment. I don't want judgment around this stuff. That doesn't help.
No.
And then we start to go, okay, how about this? How about that? And then I put in this, like, how does it feel to talk about how we got here? So, as I say, one client, as a child, he was so badly beaten. Oh my God.
That's
how he ever made into a successful human being, I do not know. I adore him. He's an amazing human being.
Okay.
But he carried that. And he has to, so he carries that. He carries that. And we went there, and the way I would describe trauma is, in very, very simple terms, it's an unclosed loop. If something smashes in this room here, and I look over here and I see it smashed, and I look up and I go, okay, the cat knocked that off. My brain grows really annoyed that I've lost my vase, but I can complete the cycle. I can go and clean up the vase. I know how it happened. I know why it happened.
Close the chapter.
When your partner presents to you as seeing sex workers in a dungeon and, you know, wanting to try autoerotic asphyxiation, or there's the myriad of stuff. There's a massive gaping hole going on there because nothing computes in the brain. There's like a system in the brain. It goes in through the front and it gets into the amygdala, and then it's supposed to have some way of settling itself out, and it doesn't. So we have to go, in simple terms, be here now. Tell me about what it felt like when you felt that first punch, or tell me about when you would think about your father coming upstairs to see you. Oh. Now come back to the here and now.
Yeah.
Now tell me a little bit about what was lovely about your bedroom. And there was a tree outside, and I always used to like, and I like in the morning when the sun comes out. Okay, so what was it like when you could hear the steps coming up? So I try as the best I can to create the safest of spaces to complete the cycle.
Okay.
And close off those traumatic loops. And I have some other super, what I call spiritual hacking skills, where we look at the parts and we feel really into it and we let that part speak. There's some powerful work in there.
Wow.
So what would be one of your biggest success story because one of your goal is to break down those barriers, talk about old stories, close that loop you're talking about. Then you help a couple reinvent their sex life, basically their sexuality together. If you have a success story, obviously without mentioning any names or anything too personal.
No. Well, I guess
for people to see that it's doable. Don't give up on your relationship just because things are not perfect
right now.
It's really doable to take a very, very old marriage with love that's old and wonderful family and everything, and giggle as we're planning their next wicked adventure. And I'm giving them homework that says, your house has got some not very good things about sex in it. So here's some homework for you. When somebody knocks at the door, or like your mother's coming, or your mother-in-law's coming round, or Auntie Mabel's coming round, I'd quite like you to be giving your husband a blowjob in the hall.
Yeah, totally.
And then you've had sex on the bed that your guests are going to be staying in. And you go and kiss behind the fridge whilst people come for dinner. And you make a plan to invite someone round to play with you both. Because that's what you want.
Yeah.
And then I check in on all the little pieces. Like, have you considered aftercare? So if you're going to do this big thing on a table and give this Linger massage and be enormously giving to your partner, to hear the story come back at me is that, we did this thing and it was really amazing. And then it was even more amazing because, like, when he felt like getting up, he got up and he bought me a glass of wine. He ran me a bath and we just talked in the bath afterwards about how lovely it was. It's like, well, okay, thanks very much.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll take that for example because it's a story that kind of touched base, but I'll use it as an example for our listeners. So let's say in a relationship, one has less of a sex drive, the other one has a higher sex drive. Every time he tries or she tries or vice versa, they get shut down, right? So the repetitive shutdown gets them to be turned off. And they don't want to instigate or try to have sex anymore because they expect the same result. They'll be shut down and it's not hot, it's not sexy, it's not a turn on. So then it becomes something about trying instead of enjoying, just something they have to schedule or try. And it becomes very mechanical in a way that they cannot really fulfill their desires and their needs. And how would you break that down to kind of reset and reinvent in that specific case scenario as an example?
Reset and reinvent is
how to fix
how
that.
you're wired for pleasure, because there's going to be a mismatch in the blueprint there.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
you use the blueprint a lot, all the time.
All the time. It's like
it's
basic
everything around that.
for me. I always start there because it gives us a language to work from.
Okay.
And we can talk about shadows and we can talk about superpowers.
Okay.
Then we have to find out specifically take the coming towards someone and touching. So some of the things that can happen is that touch always means sex. So somebody starts to do that because, they're in the middle of cooking kids dinner and their husband does that and they think that means, come on, we're going to have sex tonight.
Yeah.
So they don't want to be touched. So touch goes off the table and then there's no kissing and then there's no hugging because any kind of touch means sex.
Yeah, so true.
Then we have to find out why no. Why is there a no? Tell me about the no. Spend a lot of time telling me about the no.
Yeah.
Some of the other things I'll do is tell me what you need to say to me. And I'll run that as that's a dyad. So it's a repeating question to clear. So, well, you hurt my feelings. Well, you did this, you're rude to my mum. It's like you find out. I'm sure you're flirting with my sister and You have to clear all that stuff out of the way. And that gets people into the habit of using their voice, of saying what needs to be said. And the only response to that question can be thank you, clarify that, simplify that. That's it. You can't, it's not like, no, I never touched a sister. No, you just say thank you for sharing. That's it. Thank you. The only thing you do. So I do lots of that. Clear things up. We have to get to the heart of what it is. Well, you fucked me so fast that I'd never get to really enjoy it. And I've decided not to bother anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now we know what we're dealing with because we're not always dealing with the same thing. We've wound up. Painful sex happens a lot. So it could be that. It could be, you're so quick.
Yeah.
Here's a classic. When I say to you, as a female-bodied person, no, really, fuck me like you mean it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't hold back.
Mm-hmm.
Take your day out on me, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the man is like, well, I don't want to hurt you. Precious. Mustn't hurt girls.
Yes.
You know, and then the kind of sex that woman wants, which is like, just let me know I'm alive kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's all like, I'm pushing a pillow under your thing and trying to give you a chocolate, and it's like, fuck off.
Yeah. No,
Don't come in. I'd really rather use a vibrator because I can fuck myself stupid with that.
no, true.
Yes.
You know, or the other one is the love-lust split. That's an interesting bit of ground.
Mm-hmm.
Lots and lots of lovely sex in dating. Then you get married, and then your family. Nobody has sex with their family. So that can happen. That's an interesting one.
And what do you mean by that? Like they don't.
So the moment you become married, you become family. You know, you have a mother-in-law and a father-in-law. You're part of the family
now.
You don't have sex with your family.
But like, and that's something too that even remember that's okay. So Matt, that's why he was scared of having kids. One of the reasons is because, I've talked to so many guys, and then the second the woman changes, she doesn't want to give them sex anymore. The girls are all about the kids and blah, blah, blah. So
I heard that a lot.
He's heard that a
growing
lot.
up.
So it kind of scares them that he thinks, the same will happen with me. So I guess, how do you work with that?
I used to think. Not anymore.
Wow.
But
So I would, and this is, if I refer back to what I said to you about chapters.
Yeah.
You are about to do something absolutely mind-blowingly incredible.
Yeah.
And it's not, podcast, feed baby, do end of financial year accounts, go shopping, have sex with Matt because it's a Wednesday and he'll get mad if I don't. It isn't that. You're going to have to figure out this new blend of your life.
Yeah, you're right. And adapt to it. You're right.
And that's why I say, have check-ins. I okay? You okay? We okay?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought a friend of mine, they get together and every now and again and they go, oh my God, when will they leave home? And he goes, I don't know, 18, 20 years, something like that. And she goes, okay, so we're in for the long run, but they're in it together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
They're in it together and they're honest. They go, I don't, like, really, how did we do this? Why did we do this? Why did I want kids? Oh my God. And then they go, yeah, but it's so cute when he did the thing with the ball and the squishy toy and everything. And how he vomited all over your mother. And you've got to admit that was funny. And then they come together again. You keep the connection piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're in this together.
Mhm.
Yeah. Agreed.
One of a lot of the work that I went through in my own self was the generational stuff. So when my mother was 14, she was very, very bright, but she had to stop going to school. So people would say to her, nice girl, very bright, should have had a better education. But basically not worth listening to because not educated enough. Bright, but not educated enough. Then at 18, she went to war, wound up on the telephone systems in the Navy, taking all the big messages coming in.
Yeah.
Then she met and married my father. And there was an agreement that they wouldn't have children. And then my mother got pregnant. So she went to a gynecologist and said, I don't wish to be pregnant. And he said, oh, no. You can't make this decision. Women don't make those decisions. You'll have to ask your husband.
Wow.
Oh.
And then my father said, oh, we'll be fine. We'll have a kid. We'll be fine. My mother's belief was, this marriage won't withstand a child. I don't want to have a child. The two men overrode her.
Aww.
So she had a child that she did not want. Me.
Okay.
Aww.
And
Sorry.
I have spent an enormous part of my life trying to be what you want. Good enough to be what you want. Like, definitely not kinky, because that would be awful, and I don't do anything that might upset you. I didn't get to be me until like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
So you must feel like liberated.
Oh,
like
yeah,
finally
like-
you're alive.
I'm very liberated. I listen to people sometimes and I think I can help, but you have to ask.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, totally.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And, I say that to you. Check in regularly. Practice it in the beginning. Do it all the time. 5 minutes by the fridge, over a lovely dinner, when your baby's asleep. Check in. Just keep checking in. As long as you know what's going on with each other, you'll be golden.
Oh, well,
and you can
so much.
get together and say, we've had a shit day.
Yes, you're right.
We've had a shit day.
Yeah. You're right. So true. And
am I okay? No. You're okay? No. Are we okay? Probably not right now. Okay. But
but tomorrow's a new day. And as long as
tomorrow's a new day. How do we get through this particular icky moment together?
Oh, no, that's so true.
And one thing we were doing, so last year my dad committed suicide and I went through a deep depression. It was really rough on us and as a couple too. And communication kind of went sideways, right? And Jody is one to sometimes hold onto her emotions inside and doesn't verbalize them. She's a good listener, but she doesn't verbalize them enough. So what we started doing is we had every Sunday a little book and we would write everything that went well, everything we seek or need or that we feel we're lacking because it changes from week to week and month to month. And then things to improve upon. So it would be very positive, things that were not fulfilled or we need more of, and then things that didn't go so well. So then we would just read the book. I would read what she writes. She would read what I write, and then we would go about the week fixing those things. So the next Sunday, if it shows up again, it means I didn't address it during the week. But it would be funny because you could see that it changes from week to week. And so that was a way for us to communicate in those tough times because we had a hard time verbalizing, believe it or not. But so that was really great. So for people, I guess, that they cannot do check-ins verbally, they can maybe try to do it with a book.
Yeah.
You feel safe. You can write everything and you're in your own bubble and you write it down and somebody else, like she can read it at her own time when she's in the right mindset. So it's another way to go about it.
It is.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely beautiful. I would want to work towards being able to speak face to face.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's a stepping stone.
Yes,
I don't have to do this all at once. When I'm talking to my couples who are in success and they're having really good fun and starting to do like sexy sex labs and hypothesizing about what would be more fun, there's a lot of work gone before that.
Yeah,
a lot of course. Small incremental steps.
Yeah. And sometimes people don't see that, right? They see a certain couple that having so much fun and say, how can they have that awesome sex life or that awesome connection? Well, it just didn't happen by magic. They worked on it.
They work, and you talked about
they had those communication and check-ins and some people are not there yet.
And they plan.
Yeah. Of course.
Plan fun stuff. And I think one of the things you're highlighting that is so important is we are hardwired to spot a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's wrong? Something that's broken.
Yeah.
Then we forget about something that went well. Something really good happens.
Yeah.
And that doesn't get shared. But you left the wok out in the kitchen and that's been there 2 days. And like how many days before that's going to get put away?
Yeah, for sure.
So, and then you're dealing with like, well, you're always grouchy and you're always miserable and you're always looking at that and I have to come away from that. It's not helpful.
No.
I mean, we can't not mention the fact that we're in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the containment that we're all experiencing and the energy in the world is quite scary at the moment in many situations.
Yes.
Is that I notice that people's blueprints are shifting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I'm massively energetic at the moment. You can't get anywhere near me.
Wow.
I need to know, like my lover lives in California, so he's not here. So I can't see him, which is really disappointing because I missed him and we normally have seen each other several times by now.
Yes.
But then and my sensual, I have no idea when it happened, but all of a sudden there's furry stuff everywhere in my house. Soft blankets,
Yes.
I like to be near my dogs and things that smell nice. And all of a sudden I'm feeding because I'm not getting any of this.
Yes.
Yeah. So you fill it with blankets and stuff and comfortable, cozy things.
I need a bit of a warm up for a flogger at the moment.
Yeah.
Actually, who am I kidding?
Love it.
All right. Well, we're overstepping the hour. You're allowing.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God,
no, it's for
we love
you.
it.
I mean, we love it. We can get into these conversations for hours.
Totally.
But we have to be mindful of the time you allow us. And you're probably hungry because it's 5:30 or you're getting to 6 o'clock in your area. If you had, like, before we let you go, because obviously we really enjoy your presence on our podcast.
Yes.
And what would be your tips, your general tips for couples? Just something very basic, general that they can work on, that they can leave this podcast with and take into their personal lives.
Try out the check-in. Put a time limit around it.
Okay.
Yeah. I really would, because what it does for communication is huge. Remember this. So I may present because you are upset, or I may present because I am upset, or I may be concerned that something is going on between us that I'm curious about. I don't know. Mm-hmm. The check-in is not, we need to talk. There's no threat. It's like, I want to create a space
to express
where we can communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Just check something out. We may discover something, in which case you may need to clean that up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's, if it gets heated, take a time out,
mm-hmm.
get the heart rate below 120 before you come back.
Okay.
But keep checking in. Keep going. Just, if something's there to be dealt with, deal with it. If there is no crap between you, and I mean the thing that gives you a charge, the thing that makes you go, something's going on here. Mm-hmm. If you get rid of all of that, that is powerful stuff.
Oh, totally.
So simple, but
absolutely.
So powerful.
Okay, and what about one homework that you can give our viewers, sexually fun, to try and do?
Ooh.
You have so many ideas there.
I do. This is
that was the face of a woman who's like, I don't know. There's like 1,000 things in my head right now.
There is. Explore asking for something.
Okay.
For 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I would like you to come up behind me and put your arms around me and squeeze me really, really, really tight. But I don't want you to kiss me, and I don't want to have sex. But just for 3 minutes, that's what I want you to do.
Okay.
And then say thank you and break.
Okay.
Or the opposite would be, I would like to do something for you for 3 minutes. Okay. So ask for something to receive. Ask to give something. Can I play with your boobs for 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Can I play with your cock? Can I spank your bottom? Can I pull your hair?
Yeah.
What? And I get to say yes, and I get to say no. And you honor the yes and you honor the no. Because if you have a really good no, you'll have a way better yes.
True. Okay. Good point. Amazing.
So just keep exploring and just practice asking for something.
Yes.
That you would like. I'd like you to just stroke my hair.
Yeah.
Just stroke my hair for a few minutes, or look into my eyes, eye gaze with me, just 3 minutes. Hold my hand in silence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I love it.
And if you would write something on a board that the whole world could see, I like this one. What would you write? Just a few words, something that everybody would see for you to share to the whole world, whoever they are, when they drive by or they.
Be here by design.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Be here by design.
Yeah. That's really good. I like that one.
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much.
This was so much fun.
Everybody who wants to work with you, sorry, I'm cutting you.
Yeah.
How can they reach out to you? Because I'm sure you do a lot of those consultations by Zoom worldwide. And how would people have access to you, especially more so during this pandemic?
Jump on my website, partnershipmatters, all one word, .net, or viv@partnershipmatters.net. I am looking to work in January. I'm full right now. Okay. I'm looking to work in January at a very, very reduced cost for my diploma in the compulsive sexual behavior. So porn, sex addiction, big big problems there. In January, I have 20 hours, which will be £50 an hour.
Wow.
Which is going to be a bargain, because to normally work with me, a package would be £5,000, which is like a 3-month package.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
So, and I tell you, I can get a lot done in 9 months. A lot.
Okay. Amazing.
So if anyone does that, I've got 20 hours in that bank. If somebody wants to book some of those, you can book 5. I want 4 clients, different clients at that rate, but you could book 5 hours and
to start with something.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you. So your website, do you have any social media following at all, or is it strictly just your website?
I have a website. I do have partnership matters. I'm a little bit tardy when it comes to social media and posting and everything, but I'll share my link to this and everything. And
amazing.
Yep.
Well, okay, great.
Well, we'll put all of that down in our podcast description for people to have easy access.
And thank you for having me. This was so fun.
No, thank you. It was so much fun.
You're the kind of woman who would drive, we would fly, to UK and meet and hang out with.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Honestly. Oh my God, come on over.
Seriously.
I'm in the most beautiful part of the world, and you would be so welcome. And oh my God, we have great friends here.
Yes, amazing. We'd
awesome.
love it. Well, thank you so much again. You're amazing. And
yes, and if you could send me just that erotic blueprint, the big lines, I'd like to put that into the.
I'll send you the link. I will send you the link.
Perfect.
For people to visually look at what it is.
Okay.
Because we talked about it.
Oh, it's very fun. Yeah. Or take the blueprint quiz, and
we will for us
have a chat. Have
a link to the blueprint to the blueprint quiz. Sorry.
The moment you get the quiz, you'll get through to everything.
Okay. Awesome.
Perfect. Well, I'm excited to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a lovely conversation, and thanks for taking your time out of your day to do this.
Happy. Anything else interesting comes up you want to talk about? Give me a shout.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Good.
Well, we always something. We always have something.
Always
to talk about.
something.
Yeah, we like to learn. So, all right. Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Wish you a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.